Who died on a Carnival cruise earlier this month was honored during a celebration of life service yesterday in her hometown. But her ex-boyfriend is now saying there were warning signs from her stepbrother, who has been named as a potential suspect.
When I was on FaceTime with her and she was laying down and the brother tried to go on top of her, I was like, what the hell are you doing in her room, you know? Then he got scared and like ran away. And I heard his footsteps like running through the house, you know, because he got caught.
It was supposed to be a relaxing vacation, a new tradition celebrating a blended family. But when the Carnival cruise ship, the Horizon, returned to port 6 days later, one of its passengers was taken off in a body bag. The victim was a young girl with her entire life ahead of her, a daughter with plans to join the military.
The older child, who's approximately 16 years of age, is a suspect in the death of the stepchild, an 18-year-old daughter that was in the same room.
But now, not only is the FBI investigating, but every intimate detail of this family is now going public, as they say the suspect in Anna Kepner's death is one of their own. And yet, so many are wondering, if that's the case, why haven't charges been filed yet? We're on the case, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
Hey guys, real quick before we get into this episode of On the Case, one of the most watched shows on YouTube, I want to talk about our partner, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest personal injury law firm. They're a firm with more than 1,000 attorneys who have recovered $25 billion for more than 500,000 clients. In the past few months alone, a client in Florida received $12 million when insurance offered just $350,000. In Pennsylvania, another client was awarded $26 million. That's 40 times the insurer's offer. Morgan & Morgan makes it easy to fight for what you deserve. You can even start a claim from your phone. So if you're injured, you can start a claim at forthepeople.com/OTC. You can also scan the QR code on your screen or click the link below. There are only two people who know what really happened inside a stateroom on a 15-deck, 4,000-passenger cruise ship. One of them, according to family members, is a 16-year-old boy. The other is his 18-year-old stepsister, Anna Kepner. Anna was from Titusville, Florida, a community on the Atlantic coast, along what's called the Space Coast, because it's close to the Kennedy Space Center. It's about 3 hours north of Miami. The 18-year-old was set to graduate high school in the spring from Temple Christian School, where she was beloved by teachers, her friends, other students. Anna had big plans after she graduated. Her family says she had just completed the test that's required to join the military. Specifically, her family says that she wanted to join the Navy. Then one day, she planned to return home as a member of law enforcement. She wanted to be a K-9 officer. Now, you could tell that Anna might have been a good fit for the Navy. Her social media shows she loved the water. In May of this year, she took a cruise aboard a Carnival cruise ship with her family. Here's a TikTok from that trip in the spring. Then this is another video she posted from that trip with the caption, "I want to go back." Months later, in November, her family decided it was time to hit the seas again for another cruise. 9 of her family members went aboard a Carnival cruise ship, one named the Horizon, for a 6-day cruise that would launch from the port of Miami and then hit some spots in the Caribbean before arriving back in South Florida. The 8 other people who went on the cruise ship with Anna were members of her newly expanded family, a blended family. Her dad, her stepmom, her brother, and her new step-siblings, which includes a 16-year-old boy, Anna's stepbrother. Anna's grandparents said that she and that boy, they had a real brother-sister type relationship, telling ABC News they were, quote, 2 peas in a pod. The cruise ship that the Kepners were on, it was a floating city, a massive ship. It can carry around 4,000 passengers. It has bars, restaurants, tons of stuff to do, pool decks. It sailed out of the port of Miami, then goes to multiple destinations like Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Cozumel, Mexico. We found online that they were advertising 6-day cruises out of Miami. We believe that that is the type of cruise that the Kepner family went on. Now, This ship had been in operation since 2018. And just take a look here. This is the blueprint that Carnival has on its website, showing the layout of the boat. 15 decks in all. It seems like there was so much joy aboard that ship when it left for sea. But then when it returned on November 8th, we saw a much different scene that has sparked a mystery that many are still trying to comprehend. This is a video of Anna's body being taken off of the ship. It was transported to the medical examiner's office in Miami-Dade County. This video was taken by WSVN TV reporter Sheldon Fox. Now at this point, we didn't know whose body was being taken off of the Horizon. We didn't know if this was a case of perhaps an accidental death, a medical emergency, or something darker than that. We reached out to Carnival Cruise Lines in the days after that video went viral. And this is what they told us. The death of a guest traveling on the Carnival Horizon voyage that returned to Port Miami on Saturday, November 8th, is being investigated by the FBI. Since this is an ongoing matter under the jurisdiction of law enforcement, it is up to the FBI's Miami Public Affairs Office to provide further details. Our focus is on supporting the family of our guest. When you hear the FBI is involved, it certainly gets your attention. It makes you wonder if this is a case of someone who lost their life aboard the ship at the hands of someone else. I spoke with maritime lawyer Michael Winkleman. At the time we're recording this, the FBI hasn't released a statement. We know they're investigating. What does it tell you? We don't know if foul play is involved in this, but what does it tell you that the FBI is investigating?
Well, Chris, not much really. I mean, in any situation where you have a crime or an overboard or a death involving a U.S. citizen, the FBI is going to be involved, whether there's foul play or not. So the fact that the FBI is involved is not really surprising. They have jurisdiction over this type of a situation. So, yeah, doesn't really point me in one direction.
But even in that case, like, for example, we do sadly see those overboard cases. I guess the way that, not even the sheriff's office for Miami, I know they might have been in international waters. I mean, the FBI pretty much handles this as if it is the law enforcement agency for these types of events, whether it's an accidental situation or if it's something like foul play.
For sure, 100%. So yeah, anytime a U.S. citizen or resident has an issue, a major issue on a cruise ship, the FBI is involved, but there's also going to be involved from local law enforcement, state law enforcement. So you've got a lot of entities in play. So what's going on now is the FBI certainly led the investigation. My guess is primarily completed their investigation. I have no doubt, Chris, that there's a tremendous amount of information and knowledge about what's happened that's known to the family, known to the cruise line, known to the FBI. It's just not public yet. So at this point, we're really left speculating, if not guessing, about what happened. But having done this for more than 20 years and with my law firm having done it for more than 50 years, unfortunately, this is not something that's too surprising. Is it rare? Yes. Does it happen? Do I have strong feelings about why it may have happened? Yes.
It wasn't long until social media started to speculate that Anna's death was the result of foul play. But even to this day, the FBI has yet to release any information about their investigation. They have just publicly stated that they are investigating the death of a passenger aboard the ship. Anna's family gave an interview to ABC News shortly after her death, and that initial story didn't say much about what might have happened aboard the Horizon. Her family described her to ABC News as a, quote, happy, bubbly, straight-A student with a bright future ahead. Her family said that Anna had just finished taking that test to join the military after high school. Her family said that she was in gymnastics at a young age, then went on to be a varsity cheerleader. But then, information started to trickle out. According to the Miami-Dade Medical Examiner's Office, Anna's death was on the day before the ship returned to port, November 7th. The ME listed her time of death as 11:17 in the morning. That's obviously a very specific time.
Well, the specificity of that time is really interesting to me. So they either have more information than what we have at this time to be able to state specifically 11:17 a.m. Normally when we do a pronouncement of death, and especially if it's the next day that we're discovering the body or in contact with the body, we're going to give an estimation like, between 9 and 11 a.m. or between 10 and 11 a.m. whatever that time frame is, because we may not know exactly. So this tells me that either they have direct line of communication either with her phone, whoever was last known to talk to her. The timeline that led up to that 11/17 is going to be very important, and I think that's how they have this specific time.
So if that information was accurate from the medical examiner, Anna died on Friday morning, just before noon, and it wasn't until about 24 hours later that the ship returned to Miami. It's unclear when her body was found and what condition it was in. Now, as we waited for more information about what might have happened to Anna, her friends were honoring her back in Titusville. They put flowers on her car at her high school, parked in her senior parking space that has since been turned into a memorial. But then, a little more than a week after Anna's body was taken off of the horizon, a bombshell. The bombshell was a new timeline that was being released by media outlets of what happened in the final days of Anna's life. Let's go to November 6th. It was the evening. Kepner reportedly wasn't feeling well, and she told her family that she was going to go back to her cabin as they were eating dinner. This was according to sources who spoke to the Daily Mail. Now listen, it might not be uncommon for someone at the end of a long 6-day cruise to not feel well. So Kepner went back to her stateroom, according to the Daily Mail. The next morning, November 7th, Kepner's dad and wife met up for breakfast, but there was no sign of Anna Kepner. Her body was found at 11 o'clock in the morning in her cabin. A maid, according to the Daily Mail, reportedly found Anna when she entered the room to service it. And according to the Mail, which claims to have spoken to 2 anonymous sources, Kepner's body, quote, was found wrapped in a blanket, covered over with life jackets, and stuffed under a bed. As a reminder, we don't know the condition that Anna's body was found in, and the FBI has not confirmed anything about whether foul play was involved in Anna's death. What does that tell you about what the investigation looks like at this point?
Well, obviously, she's not going to wrap herself in a blanket and cover herself with life jackets. So there had to be somebody that did that. So that's really what the core of the investigation is going to focus on, is who put her in that state. If she had passed out or she had died of a drug overdose or some other issue, obviously that she would have found it, in a natural state, lying there. But the fact that she was allegedly found in this manner tells me that there are other people that know what happened to her.
And the last time I think we spoke, one of the big pieces of information that we had from authorities was the medical examiner in Miami-Dade County said on November 7th, 11:17 in the morning, that's what her time of death was listed as. And then you have this article saying it was around 11 o'clock in the morning that the maid on that day goes into her room. Would a time of death be listed for when someone was found? If that's when the maid found her, would that mean that there's something more there potentially?
No, and I'm kind of surprised they even released that information, but the time of death is the time of death. They're going to be able to ascertain that from the examination of the body, from blood tests, from a variety of the state of the body. I mean, the science behind identifying the time of death for a deceased is very advanced. So they can get it pretty close to what the actual time is. So when she was found and when the time of death, that there might be a discrepancy just based upon the information that's kind of flying back and forth, and nothing's been corroborated.
How does the investigation go where if you found a body in this condition, and we don't know if foul play is involved, but they didn't get back to port until the next day? I think people were told to leave their staterooms around 7 o'clock in the morning on this deck, where all of it happened. But they're back in Miami the next day after her body was allegedly found around 11 o'clock in the morning the day prior. How does this investigation play out when you have these logistics like a cruise ship that they're dealing with?
Well, the hardest part is you're going to have to freeze the crime scene so nobody goes in there and destroys evidence either intentionally or inadvertently.
According to Cruise Blog, other passengers reported hearing an alert for a medical emergency on Deck 8, and a handful of guests were notified that they would need to vacate their staterooms earlier than usual. The next day when the ship returned to port, The blog also says that the ship turned around and started another cruise on the 8th and left Miami on time. It returned on November 16th. Passengers reported when they boarded the deck where Kepner was found dead, it was blocked off. Again, all of these are media reports that have yet to be confirmed by investigators. Then there was another bombshell.
The older child, who's approximately 16 years of age, is a suspect in the death of the stepchild, an 18-year-old daughter that was in the same room.
That's the moment this case went to an entirely new level, when the attorney for Chantel Kepner's ex-husband used the word suspect to describe the 16-year-old boy. Chantel Kepner is Anna's stepmom. The boy that is being talked about, that's the stepbrother of Anna Kepner, who is also on the cruise. He's a minor, so we're not naming him or showing him. If he does face charges as an adult, we'll put that information out there. Anna Kepner's stepmom, Chantel, who was on the cruise with Anna, appeared in a custody hearing involving a divorce. This happened after the cruise. This case isn't directly connected to the cruise. We've been learning information through that custody hearing. Chantel has been going through custody proceedings with her ex-husband for more than a year, according to court records. And one of the children at the center of the custody hearing was Anna's 16-year-old stepbrother.
There is currently an FBI investigation as well with regard to the 16-year-old, and as well as there was a DCF involvement, and there's a DCF open investigation on the father in this case. The FBI has cleared my client from any wrongdoing. She's not considered a suspect in this matter at all. I would have difficulty in them putting the 16-year-old on the stand, because I don't want anything done that would incriminate the young man. Mom, immediately after the incident, he was hospitalized, and then when released from the hospital, mom and dad participated too. They signed a stipulation basically allowing him to live with mom's relative, and they're getting counseling and so forth for him.